Dave, remember the feeling of watching Saturday morning cartoons with your favorite bowl of sugary cereal?
Sure.
Well, what if I told you that you could recapture that feeling, but without the guilt of eating cereal that's bad for you?
I'd say you must be talking about Magic Spoon.
That's right, Dave. And now you can get a variety pack with 4 featured flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. This pack has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs. Each serving is only 140 calories. They're keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb.
My favorite flavor is the frosted.
Spice up your peanut butter cereal by slicing up some fresh banana in it. That's what I did.
Go to magicspoon.com/AIC to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code AIC at checkout to save $5 off your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/AIC and use the code AIC to save $5.
Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Are you ready, kids? Get your parents' permission, check your mailbox, and grab your shopping cart. It's time for the Adventures in Collecting podcast.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Dave. Welcome to Adventures in Collecting, where we talk toy news, culture, and hauls,
along with our journeys as collectors.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Adventures in Collecting. Eric here. I just wrapped with the G.I. Joe team on yet again another roundtable, this time recapping their reveals and news coming off of their San Diego Comic-Con panel. So what you're about to hear is another hour plus of chatting all things G.I. Joe with our friends Emily Bader and Lenny Panzica from Hasbro's G.I. Joe team. You'll also hear from some familiar voices like the Full Force Podcast, Action Figure Insider, Toy Wizards, Toy Insider, and His Tank and more. One correction before we kick into the actual call here. In the throes of covering Comic-Con, I relied on a lot of our fellow bloggers on the ground coverage in order to provide coverage on our Instagram page. And in the beginning of the call here, I'm going to mention that I watched Dan's feed, Dan from Action Figure Insider, for the G.I. Joe panel. It was not his feed. I actually watched the Fwoosh's feed. So I incorrectly credited Dan, and then Dan goes on to say that he wasn't in the panel anyway. So just to give you guys some context, it wasn't Dan, it was Fwoosh. I watched Dan's coverage of the Star Wars panel and the Marvel Legends one. So, you know, I just want to set the record straight. Give corrections where possible, you know? Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to the call, and you're going to hear the latest from Emily and Lenny. Yo, Joe.
All right. Hey, guys.
What up, dude?
So, congratulations. Awesome San Diego Comic-Con. Sorry I couldn't be there in person to hang, but it was nice getting to, watch everyone's live streams. Shouts to, I don't know if Dan is in here, if Mr. Pickett is among us today, but shouts to him for streaming the thing so I could watch it. I'm here. Thank you, Dan. You're the best.
You're welcome.
So what we did, prior to coming into this is we actually put out a post, saying that we were going to have your ears. So I have a couple questions from our followers. So our first question comes from Earl Whitford on Facebook. One of our followers asks, will the Serpentor PulseCon exclusive be an in-stock order like Zartan was last year, or a pre-order come PulseCon?
So he will be a pre-order come PulseCon with the hopes that he will be, everybody knows all of the horrendous supply chain issues that G.I. Joe has faced this year, with the hopes that he will be in your hand by end of year or very close to end of year.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You betcha.
All right. Next up is Fran.
What up, Fran?
Hey, Fran.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What's up, dude?
Congratulations on an awesome San Diego. It was a really wonderful slide presentation you guys put on.
Thank you.
Surprise.
Oh, and look at Fran's Super 7 shirt.
Right. How could I not rock that shirt? It's great. It's like
We spent a lot of time looking at that Super 7 shirt wall while we were in their booth. It was pretty great. Lenny was so excited about having 2 choices to choose from for his gem shirts to wear to the panel. It was delightful.
yeah, most of the clothes sold out like within minutes. I missed the jacket. I didn't even get a jacket.
I think that they're
awesome.
back up now as like a
really?
shirt order. Or at least they were a couple days ago. So I definitely go and double check again.
Nice. I guess my first question would be the Red Crimson Guard on the retro card. Are they going to be produced more heavier than the main characters because they're an army builder, and I think that red color is going to be more in demand than the box version.
Yeah, so in terms of forecasting, I can go back and take a look. Usually we do make more of the troop builders than we do of named characters, just because people do tend to buy whether a handful or if you are extraordinarily dedicated to your craft, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 30 of them. And so we have seen that the troop builders are kind of a little bit more in demand. So we do try to make sure that there are more of those available for fans.
All right, good, because the Crimson Guard is going to be very popular, especially the brighter red one. I think that's just going to be a very hard figure to get. Hopefully there's enough to go around.
Yeah, the cherry red on it's really nice.
I actually used my bright red with the silver face as the squad leader with my samples. So I've got like my squad going.
Yeah, that's an addition to the collection. I can't wait for that. And in regards to the packaging.
Hold on. Sorry, Fran. One at a time.
Oh.
Okay.
Chris, you're up next.
Hello, guys. Good to see
What up,
you
Chris?
again.
Hi.
I mirror what Eric said at the beginning about what an amazing SDCC. Like, it was insane. It was like to be honest, I wasn't expecting loads to be coming out, and then the panel was just like, what was that? So many reveals. It was ridiculous. So thank you. It was amazing. My main question is actually, I think, what Fran was going to ask following up. I'm kind of glad you got cut off, Fran. Sorry.
No.
In regards to the packaging, now, like they said, obviously, Crimson Guard, Snake Eyes, you said in the past that they were going to be the last 2 Walmart exclusive retro cardback figures, obviously not counting Cobra Commander and HasLab. But they were going to be like the last 2, and that you're going to be kind of switching theme with Walmart. I remember you guys talking about that. So an email went out shortly around the time, in fact, right around the time you guys were dropping your panel, I think, by Hasbro, saying that this is now like our kind of like reiterating some aspects of the plastic, non-plastic packaging, but they were adding kind of new information about the fact that if it was like O-ring, 3 3/4, for example, that was keeping the bubble blisters, and other packaging that would like necessitate that, like a nostalgia feel and things like that. So my question there is, I feel like the retro cardback line came to a close because of the plastic scenario. And I might be wrong on that one. That was my assumption in any case. Is it likely then that are we talking the end of the retro cardbacks, or will you be going back to those another time, seeing as you're changing the theme with Walmart, if you get what I'm saying?
Well, interesting you mentioned that, Chris. I have a pre-prepared statement from our PR team that I will then elaborate on. So thank you for your question, Chris. As you heard, Hasbro has a goal to eliminate virtually all plastic from new and single-use product packaging by the end of 2022. This comes with some exciting new changes, and as part of the shift away from window boxes, you'll see highly detailed artwork and exciting new imagery on each package. But I think that you'll be happy to hear that our goal does not include packaging for fan collectible products like our 3 3/4 inch action figures, because we recognize packaging is part of the product experience and typically retained intact for fan display and collections. This includes the G.I. Joe retro lines. Hasbro, with the support of its collaborators, is committed to doing what's right for the future of the planet, and we are looking forward to having our fans along for the journey. So, as you know, we do not comment on future products that are coming out. However, based on that information, you can at least infer what may be possible for future products. What I can tell you is that this news came out too late to impact any of our 2023 products that we have been making. And so we're too far along in packaging to be able to kind of pivot shift things around. So if we continue on with kind of retro blister packaging, you will see that start to come back in 2024.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. James, you're up.
Howdy.
Man.
Jumping into sort of the vehicle side of things as a follow-up to some of the stuff we talked about on previous roundtables. Now that you've got a couple motorcycles in the mix and then the chariot that's going to be coming with Serpentor, have you found the sweet spot in terms of production and retail, and how the arrival of additional vehicles that are certainly well below his tank may play out in the future?
Lenny, do you think that there are any vehicles between motorcycles and his tanks? I feel like those are the only two options in the GI world.
The way I look at it, I mean, there's the Triple T, which is below a his tank, I would say, and then I would say 2 steps below.
There's tons of options. Sorry, I was just kidding, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Sarcasm voice sounds like my regular voice.
I think then there's vamps and stuff like that. So I definitely want to get into other scales of vehicles. It's just a matter of what can we do, and we are starting to get into our. Can I say we're starting to get into 24 ideation timing? So now it's the time when we start studying to see what we can actually do at certain price points, and where we start to introduce. I'm losing my voice. What's going on? When we start to introduce new price points and figure things out and new price offerings and all that. So it's all a matter of what we can do with what we have and what is a viable price point for the collector. Essentially, I would say.
I think that it's also important to remember that with HasLabs, HasLabs are the dream iteration of items. Like, these are the highest end we can make them, all the bells and whistles. You are not sitting like with your, oh my gosh, with our Sky Striker samples. You guys are going to flip at the number of sticker sheets this thing comes with. It is going to take you forever, and you are going to feel like a kid again, and you're going to be so happy. But his tank does not come with a million decal sheets that you have to sit and apply. It will be gorgeous right out of the box. It has, this HasLabs are kind of the creme de la creme of projects that we are doing. And so there is also a lot of kind of flexibility of price point. Not all the vehicles that we are going to do are going to be that high end with all those bells and whistles, which I think also opens up kind of a wide world of price points for us. So don't expect just because something was the same scale as a his tank in 3 3/4 inch that it's going to cost you $300 down the line, because it's possible that we're not going to make it that high end of an experience.
Also, to add to what Emily's saying too, I think if you look at the 3 3/4 inch all striker to the 3 3/4 inch his tank, they're kind of close in size, and that's weird. So when you start thinking about when you scale things up for a 6-inch line, we're going to add a little more realism, I think, to it. So that also opens up opportunities too. So again, that his tank was made to be more badass for what it is, right? But not be an enormous tank. It's a high speed tank, right? So we'll play some of that stuff into there. It's just a matter of time, I think, for us, and matter of business.
And I think that with the his tank, so I mentioned earlier that a lot of people were like, oh my God, this thing is huge. I didn't realize quite how much of a size difference there was between the original one and this one. But also, I think a lot of people you've seen the renders, you know what the renders look like, but to see it in person and see how luxe it looked and how nice and how many, all of the little fiddly, greebly details that the team has put on there is something that really sets it apart from the 3 3/4 inch iterations that we've done before. And it's those details and kind of really taking it to the next level that we feel makes it basically a luxury dream toy collectible.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Daniel, you're up.
Hi, everyone.
What's up, man?
Thanks for going over the presentation again, too, from Comic-Con, because I got shut out of the room. I didn't get to sit and watch the panel.
No.
I was in line crying. So you guys have probably heard the feedback with the Walmart retro lines that Walmart has been shipping them in envelopes and not boxes, and many people are coming damaged. I know you guys cannot dictate how Walmart ships things, so is it possible in the future that you could go with a heavier cardstock for the card back that would help preserve it more?
So what I will tell you is that we are aware of the shipping problems on the Walmart card backs. Our teams are currently in communication with Walmart to see if there's anything that we can do, knowing that there are still future products that are coming out. The items that are already planned we've printed all the packaging for all of these. Like they're locked in at this point. What we can say for if we decide to bring this line back in the future, we will be using all of this as a learning experience, and all of these will be coming in SIOC packaging. So they will all come like Legends does on their really nice retro lines. Like everybody comes in a box so that yours doesn't show up at your house with the packaging all crinkly.
We'll print it on a piece of steel. It'll rip through the mailbox.
Perfect. All right, thanks.
All right. And then Chris from Comic Book Resources, you are up.
What's up, Chris?
Hey. Thanks for having me here. Lenny, I do want you to know I am also a butter pecan fan.
Ooh, all right.
Underrated flavor.
I'm so sorry. We should have asked everybody what their favorite ice cream flavors are. So next round of questions, please everybody let us know what their favorite ice cream is so that we can all get in fights with each other. I'm sorry, Chris. Please continue.
It's okay. Emily, you and I briefly talked on the show floor at SDCC about the HISS tank and what a runaway success that was. And I was just curious if the bombastic response to that HasLabs had changed how you guys were looking at doing vehicles or future HasLabs, or if how you guys were responding to that success.
I mean, of course, there's no way to have a success like that and have it not kind of change our views on the future. I think it was, and to be clear, we have so much love for all of the HasLab projects at Hasbro, and the teams that work on these projects these are labors of love, and you can tell. And to have the HISS tank be the fastest funded of all of the HasLabs, nobody expected that. We didn't expect that because it had never happened before. It was unprecedented. And for our fans to kind of rally around us in such a meaningful and kind of loud way was really magical. And I think that we know that there has been a lot of excitement for classified vehicles, and that's something that we really have been kind of ramping up for on the line. But I think that this gives us really great incentive to ramp up a little bit faster than we may have planned to.
Yep. I think, as the kids say, let's go, is what a lot of the design team was like when it did really well. We're like, okay, let's go again. This was fun because, I mean, it does pull a lot of resources. Like, it was me and another designer working on that thing. And then you have a whole nother engineering team working on it. It pulls a lot of resources. But I think when the company sees success like that, we get super excited, and it just makes you more excited for the next one. And then it's like, okay, I'll do that again. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'll pull the late nighters and all that to expand this even further. So I think from a development standpoint, we're pumped, and it means so much to us, deeply, that it was so well received, because the amount of work that goes in is intense, and we want this stuff too. So when it goes that well, it's like, yeah, this is awesome. Okay, I'll do that again.
And I think that there's always, with HasLabs, there's always this kind of worry of, it didn't matter how convinced we were that the HISS tank was absolutely the right vehicle to launch with, that we knew people would be really stoked about it. Somewhere in the back of every one of our heads, we went, what if we just wasted the last year of our lives working on this project and quietly killing ourselves to make this happen? And what if fan response is, did they really need to put the Cobra insignia on the front of it? It's a little loud, guys. Just tamp it down a little.
If you guys only knew the things we scrutinized I'd say on G.I. Joe in particular, the things we scrutinized on everything. And then on a HasLab, it was Well, the HasLab team coming in, I was like, I apologized beforehand. It's like, we kind of scrutinized everything, so sorry. But then they did too, right? Because it's Hasbro's baby. So we were just like, let's do this.
And it's different on licensor brands like, Star Wars and Marvel, because they have licensors that get to scrutinize and say like, no, actually in this Doctor Strange comic from 30 years ago, it needs to be a slightly different color purple on him, don't you think? And so not having that on our team, we have to be the ones that really heavily scrutinize.
Yeah, we got to turn it up.
Oh, look, guys, this is the third cat that I've had come and hang out with me today. I am incredibly popular. This is Gretchen Potato. She is my little lone lady. She is beautiful, but not particularly bright. She spends a lot of time staring at walls. Come on, Gretchen. Oh, nope. All right. She's going to stay. And so I think that it was really nice kind of having that positive reinforcement, I guess. And
Yes.
it, as Lenny was saying, it really made all of that hard work worth it.
Cool. All right. Jeremy, your question.
Hi guys.
Hey, man.
Sorry, no video today. My camera's not working. But
No problem. No judgment.
my favorite ice cream is mint chocolate chip.
Good choice.
And I was very sad not to get to see you guys at San Diego. It looked like you guys had a great setup, but I actually tested positive for COVID about 24 hours before I got on my airplane. So,
Oh no. Well,
so I had to
miss feeling
miss
better.
the entire trip. Yeah.
And we really appreciate that you weren't there to give us COVID. So thank you so much for that.
I actually wanted to ask about the collaboration and the relationship you guys have with Super 7. It was really cool to see you interacting and posting about, the Cobra Recruitment Center and the T-shirts and everything. How closely do you work with them on the products that they put out, and what reaction figures have you guys enjoyed the most that they put out so far?
I think it's been really fun. I was just talking with somebody about one of the kind of casualties about working remotely, in that you just don't get to like casually chat with people as much as when you would have in-person meetings with them. Yeah. And so we haven't really gotten to like talk one-on-one with the Super 7 team until we got to Comic-Con. And so we got to make a ton of, like, our licensing team does, but we don't usually on the brand team. And so it was really fun at Comic-Con to get to know them and get to hang out. And they were really excited to kind of talk to us about stuff. And we were really excited to talk to them about stuff. And so it's like we kind of belong to this tiny little world of people who are like making officially licensed G.I. Joe toys. And usually we just get, like, Lenny and I get to talk to each other about it, which, like, oh my God, our poor flight attendant, who is fabulous on the flight, every time he walked by, he would say, "Are you guys still talking to each other?" It's like a 5.5 hour.
And it turns out that was a huge Flint fan.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
We mentioned we work on G.I. Joe, and he goes, "Flint was my favorite character." And he went on the whole thing about it. It was awesome.
Oh, right. His name was Clint. And so he was like, it's basically like we had the same name growing up. So hi, Clint, if you're watching, we remember you. It was a lovely flight. But so it was really cool to kind of get to, I guess, bond with the Super 7 team at Comic-Con. It was delightful. And so we get really excited about G.I. Joe stuff. And so we thought that it's lovely that now we get to kind of hang out and rep the good work that they're doing. And nobody else is really doing high-end G.I. Joe apparel right now. And so to be able to like talk about it was really awesome.
Yeah, I think too, from a, I love the Worst line. It's like, it's awesome. I just love how ridiculous it is. Just talking with them about their design philosophy was so cool from like a designer to a designer standpoint. And I would say from the reaction line, I think to one part of your question, I would say I like the, was it the blue snake eyes? I haven't picked them up yet, but I got to grab them. I like them because I like that they're like taking chances, and I even like the Cobra Commander with the red collar. But there's a pretty nice iteration that we're doing with that. I have that guy. But they're doing some cool stuff, and they're doing it from like almost like it's a place of love, you can tell. And when chatting with them, it reaffirmed that. Yeah.
And I was really excited when we were at the recruitment center. I picked up 2 of the Glow Patrol figures that they did for Comic-Con.
Oh yeah,
I'm
they're
really
awesome.
excited to get to play with those. They're again in my suitcase full of Comic-Con stuff. So when they arrive, I'll let you guys know. But at least from a holding them and packaging, it was really fun. And I like things that are different from what we can do or what I know it's like easily feasible for us to do. So like that was really fun. And I love the like really gigantic oversized figures that they're doing, because from like a feasibility standpoint, like that's a HasLab project and we would do a really limited run on them and it would be really kind of unfeasible for us. And so to see somebody who is able to do that is really, really cool. And it was the cat from Lightyear, is his name Socks? Am I remembering that right? The packaging for that
Incredible.
It was a cat carrier. Like it was absolutely gorgeous. And so I think you get to kind of nerd out about things like that, because I know sitting in all of the packaging review meetings, how much of a gigantic pain it probably was to make that package happen. Yeah. And so I think you kind of have a different set of appreciation for it, it's really fun.
Emily, I have a very charming, candid picture of you and Brian Flynn nerding out about G.I. Joe after my panel.
Oh, do you? Oh my gosh, I would love to see that. That's really fun.
I will post that on my Instagram after this is over. So.
Sweet.
It was really fun to get to meet him. It was lovely.
Cool. And then I think we're on Brett.
What up, Brett?
Hey, Brett.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So the exclusive was handled in a very different way this year, obviously with the QR code. What, one, how do you think that went? And then 2, like what lessons were learned from going that method? And before you answer, the answer is mint chocolate chip as well, but specifically Baskin Robbins mint chocolate chip.
Ooh, very specific. All
very
right,
specific.
This is
the
good.
Minty Boys.
Will you eat mint chocolate chip at other ice cream places or only at Baskin Robbins?
I will do it at other places, but I just think that's the best version.
I love it. Professor Waffles joining us again. So distracted by the Baskin Robbins
QR code.
Leave, please. So in terms of the QR code, we feel like it went well because our primary goal of doing the QR code was to make sure that people were not waiting in ridiculously long lines to get product at the
line to get to go to the line.
We didn't have a ton of time to run around and like go and kind of find product other places. But the times that I wanted to go out and find it was just lines and lines of people. So that was one of the things we were avoiding. But we also wanted to make sure that regardless of what day you arrived at the convention, that you had an equal opportunity in the morning to make sure that you were getting that product. And so from that perspective, great success. It turns out that everybody really likes Dr. Mindbender and his convention exclusive in a way that I think kind of blew us away in terms of the quantity that we sold. So I think learning for next year is definitely to look at kind of, again, so we made 3 times the quantity of Dr. Mindbender as we made of color changing Zartan last year. And so we were like, oh yeah, it'll be totally fine. It's going to be okay. It was not, guys. It sold out so fast. Thank you, by the way.
I got to make read codes for these convention exclusives.
Yeah. And so I think that kind of using that as another learning in every iteration of a G.I. Joe figure is another kind of learning opportunity for us. The brand is still so little that it's a good learning for next year as well. Now, okay, so guess we're making more of these now, which is also a little bit bonkers. There's usually kind of a cap for the highest of the action figures that we sell at conventions, and we will now be beyond that. Which is, also exciting. Awesome. And thank you for the lovely compliment. But now we know, so we'll make more of them next year.
And knowing is half the battle.
There we go.
Here all day. Literally, it's my house. I'm here all day.
All right, Scott, your question.
Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hey, guys. Thank you again for doing one of these roundtables with us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys remotely. And those of us that got to see you at the show, it was really good to hang out in person. I missed part of the beginning of this. I was on another meeting. I'm very sorry about that. I don't know if you guys spilled the beans about anything in that first 30 minutes.
No beans.
So what you missed, we did a recap of the Comic-Con presentation.
I was there for that. Yep.
Okay. And right, you were there in person. We got to meet Scott in person, guys. It was delightful. Yeah, Scott also came bearing presents, so everybody else stepped their game up. Just kidding. You don't have to bribe us for things. It's not that Scott was bribing us for things. Wow, this got really bad.
It
so
really
fast.
works.
So Scott, first things first, we are asking everybody what their favorite ice cream flavor is so that we can all fight about it.
Okay, my favorite flavor of ice cream is ice cream. Yeah, there we go.
Any? No discrimination at all. Okay.
You should never be discriminatory. Never. I just don't deal with that. I accept all ice creams as they are and will eat them happily. Thank you very much.
Fabulous. And then feel free, ask whatever your first question is, and we'll let you know if we already answered it, or I'll just answer it again for fun.
No problem. I mean, one of my things was with the size of the HISS tank as a HasLab project, weren't you concerned that you were taking a product that you probably could have sold at mass retail? Should you have done something even bigger for that HasLab project that would not go to retail, where the HISS tank, you probably could have sold that to specialty retailers, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, that would carry that as a regular product. Maybe Walmart and Target would not put it in their stores, but as an online item, I think that still could have sold very well. What about, was it when you were doing your meetings, do we do a MOBAT because we know we're not going to release something this big in mass market audiences, and this means it's going to be a HasLab? Because in some ways, I feel by letting loose the HISS tank, you really do lose that opportunity to sell that tank to mass retail, to a wider audience, because it's obviously, really, really hot. And then in that mass retail version, it would be, certainly when it come with all the bells and whistles. I mean, 4 great figures in that thing is amazing. Just that was one of my thinking about the HasLab project itself and the size of the vehicle. Do you feel that you lost out giving us a HISS tank instead of something bigger that you wouldn't make down the road?
So I'll answer from a logistics perspective, and then I'll let Lenny answer from a feelings perspective. Because that's usually
all the feelings.
So from a logistics perspective, our toy specialty retailers are becoming increasingly specific about the size of our packaging that they are happy with. And so what it really comes down to for the kind of the things that keep them happy and the things that may help them increase their forecast is what are the packaging dimensions of this thing that I am going to have to ship? And the HISS tank already exceeds those packaging dimensions. And so what we're seeing now is more than ever before.
You're talking to a man that has 3 Unicrons over in a corner. It makes a big stack.
Yes. I mean, they would not want to ship Unicrons either. So one of the things that has kind of come out of all of the shipping crises that we've been having and the increases in cost is they are paying more attention to what those packaging dimensions are. And they are doing a little bit more pushback against things to say, can we get that into a smaller package so that it's cheaper for us to ship? So items that say we're doing a sword for something and the sword doesn't come apart. Now all of a sudden you have this 3-foot long box that they're trying to ship, which is
Power Ranger sword.
Yeah, let's say a Power Ranger sword. That maybe doesn't come apart because it has gorgeous, beautiful electronics. I don't know if anybody else just got their shipping notification for that, but I sure did.
I have not.
I ordered mine from Pulse a couple months ago. Since I'm not on the Power Rangers team anymore, I don't get my free samples, but I definitely worked on that product, so I was going to buy one. But so that Power Sword now is technically an oversized box.
Yeah,
they're kind of pushing back against that. So step 1. Step 2, brick and mortar would never ever take a box size this big anymore. Those days are long gone, guys. As much as we would love to have that, it's a high price point item. You can't fit very many of them on the shelf. They basically have to take shelves out because it's such a big box. Wait until you see. We just had the Marvel guys started getting Galactus samples in. and I saw how big like one of those shipping boxes is. And it's not just the size of the interior box. It's, we want to make sure that you're paying a ton of money for this stuff. We want to make sure that those boxes get to you looking real pretty. So it's, the layers around that box to make sure that it gets to you, which increases the whole size, it increases the weight. So from that perspective, all of those things. I do think that there is room in the future to do what we did talk about earlier was kind of the opportunity to do non-HasLab level vehicles, in that the HISS tank is really, we think of it as like the creme de la creme, the highest echelon of G.I. Joe vehicles right now. Waffles, really? And
it's just like having a real cat.
It has all of like the bells and whistles on it. It is, there's tampos out the wazoo. You're not getting a lot of decal sheets. It's the highest end of all of the finishes. But what that means is that there's a lot of room between that and, say, basically what the O-ring equivalent of a classified vehicle would be. Maybe there is some consumer assembly acquired. Maybe there is more decals that you get to put on yourself. Maybe there are different sizes that we get to work with. There's different scales that we get to kind of encounter. And so
that was always part of the fun of G.I. Joe, was putting the stuff together, putting decals on, maybe weathering it or just getting it dirty to make it look more realistic.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's lost in a lot of the toys now, because the way that manufacturing was for G.I. Joe is not done anymore. Like, that's simply not done. You receive a fully assembled toy, or partially assembled where it's really A to B. There's no longer figuring out like a model kit,
that was a philosophy born out of, I think when I first started, maybe 15, 16 years ago, it was like play out of box was kind of, I think was the terminology we were using, where we wanted it, especially for kids, when you get it out of the box, there's play. I grew up to be a designer, so I have a little bit of a different standpoint when it comes to that. Like, I want to kind of build it. Like, the Stinger. There's a fun to it. There's an activity to it, especially like now that I have a kiddo, I kind of want to start doing that with her. I think I kind of went on a little bit of off the rail a little bit, but.
That was part of G.I. Joe, was the building your vehicle, putting those decals on, or going to your friend's house and he doesn't put decals on his stuff. And you're like, what are you, some kind of animal? Why did you put decals on here? This is crazy.
Yeah. And I think that's part, like I was saying to the guys earlier, it's part of kind of figuring it all out going into the future years of like what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And when the HISS tank is worth everything we're selling it to you for, like,
it's undervalued. It's underpriced.
We're kind of, we're giving stuff away.
Yeah.
So to think about another vehicle instead of the HISS tank, we looked at options. I can't say what options we looked at because that would lead kind of like.
I do have something that I can say, in that with HasLabs and with Dream Projects, it was really important to us that we led with something that was undeniably, identifiably G.I. Joe, and that HISS tanks only exist in the G.I. Joe universe. Mobats are based off of real tanks. And so for us, we really wanted to lead with something that you saw and you went, oh my God, that's a G.I. Joe vehicle, not oh my God, is that G.I. Joe? Or did somebody like buy that at a hobby store and customize it to look more like it did in the G.I. Joe universe? Sorry, Lenny.
That's fantastic. That's a really good way to why we got a HISS tank and not a Mobat.
And then I would also add too, like the HISS tank, it's enormous. People are like, it's enormous. Think about a Mobat now. Think about a HISS tank, right? And then also HISS tank, the size about 10 and a half, 11 inches wide, maybe 12 with all the bells and whistles on it. So if you angle that and put that on your shelf, it's going to fit. So that was part of it too, where like we needed to fit as well in your shelf collection to set your stage. Because now we're getting into things that are going to start setting that G.I. Joe universe off on your shelf or your collection or wherever you choose. So,
well, I mean, obviously one of the things you guys followed up with.
Hey guys, I'm gonna move this one along because we're spending a lot of time. So we're gonna get another way through. Don't worry, Scott.
No problem.
You can pick this one back up. Jaron, can your question?
Hello. Sorry. Hey, Superman ice cream is my favorite. That's to me.
Ooh, what is Superman ice cream?
You haven't had Superman? It's like it's blue, yellow, and red, and it just tastes like happiness. At least to me.
It's melted Clark Kent, isn't it? Basically,
it is actually. Yeah, they're running low on the supply. Henry Cavill's.
Okay, I'm very curious now. I'm definitely not Googling Superman ice cream while you're talking to me. Please
yeah, no worries. So the return of retro card backs, and then also the implementation of QR code technology. Have you guys put any thought into maybe merging those two and giving some sort of file card system? You know, I've got a 7 and a 9-year-old. Every time I get a new G.I. Joe, it's, oh, what's that? Who's he? What's his name? What's he do? What's this? And so I just thought maybe if that was something you guys had put thought into down the line of some sort of extended file card system.
I like technology and I like file cards.
We have absolutely been putting thought into that. We are starting to see that roll out on some of our other Hasbro brands that are being kind of used as test and learns for that. And then we are going to be looking at that technology and seeing how we can adopt it on G.I. Joe. It's a lot of work for our writing team to make sure that we can get all that information, because we want to make sure that it is translatable. And so all of our friends around the globe can have access to that same information. And so QR codes will need to scan, and then the information will need to be able to be translated so that you can pick your language. So it's a huge amount of work, but it is ultimately one of our goals to be able to include with our figures, because we do feel like it's one of the things that you kind of miss on classified. And while we have the iconography system, it's not necessarily the same as being able to read that file card. And it's not necessarily the same when we have to do it in 5L on the back of our cards either, because you miss so much of that information. It's a good middle ground, but I think that in the future there will be ways that we are looking at that we can improve upon that technology.
Awesome. Let me just say if you can,
Jane.
research.
Wow.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You was busting your chops. You're good, man. What's up?
I was just going to say, if you can, maybe include those photos, because you guys do such a good job on those photos and it tells a story. That would be a really cool implementation into that file card system.
Yeah. We're a little too proud of our diorama photos and how beautiful they are. So any chance that we have to show those off we're definitely going to take. I really loved, for those of you who've seen pictures of the case, we had little acrylic photo pictures that we were able to include with our display that I think we'll do more of next year. My original intention was to switch the pictures out every day, and it turns out Lenny and I were just too tired to do anything. So they stayed the same the whole time. But next time we'll have more.
We had to graciously ask the fans to be our bouncers while we opened things up. So it's pretty crazy.
Cool. All right. And then Rob, you are last. Then we'll start back at the top with Eric.
What up, Rob?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
My question was, now that the cases what happened there? Okay. Now that the figure assortments have now jumped from 3 to 5, and we don't have to worry about necessarily just getting those core characters in, is there a possibility that we might see versions of characters that may have been done already, but maybe in like some kind of environmental specialty, like an Arctic Duke, a Desert Snake Eyes, like was done like with past lines like Pursuit of Cobra and things like that?
Yeah, I'm super inspired by Pursuit of Cobra. I love that line. And John is
a great line.
And I think there's a lot of badassery there that I think we need to tap into. And that's what we try to do in Classified, right? And I think totally, we can't talk to what characters we're going to do in the future, but I'm totally inspired by, that's why I love G.I. Joe. It's all the missions and all the crazy, it's design. I think I went on a diatribe about this before. It's fashion design, it's character design. And the characters are known for their iconic looks, but then you can push them into being in a different gear because they got to go underwater or they got to go in the desert. So, or maybe they have to do a sci-fi mission. So, I think there's definitely potential for that. And I'd love to do it.
Great. Eric, back to the top.
All right. So our next question comes from our follower at Eddie.ills. And he asks, as the line evolves, have you considered including swappable hands with future releases? Things like fists, saluting hands, pointing, or martial arts hands would be awesome.
I've said this before, and I want to, but it's kind of like we have to measure what we can afford when the price offering. So G.I. Joes have a lot of secondary parts. They have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of tools. So it just matters on the character, right? So it's like, if I can afford it, I'm definitely going to do it. If I can't afford it, I can't do it, right? So unfortunately, there are rules that I have to follow from my work standpoint. But if I could, I would.
You do start to see those come in with Sarge because he comes with a ton of different hand options.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that as we're kind of leaning into some of our more deluxe price points, you do have the opportunity to have a greater accessory count than maybe you would at the $24.99 level, which gives Lenny a little bit more flexibility and room to play with. But I think that the Sarge hands are amazing. I love the one where you can tell like he looks like he means business.
Also, I would say this too. I have drawers. These are all my sample drawers and stuff, and my competitor product drawers. But like, I just full of hands and blast effects, right? So I think it's a matter of, do you do it all the time? Do you do it a little bit, and then they're swappable throughout the line? So it's a little more healthy of a product offering across the brand. I don't want to homogenize it and everybody gets hands or everybody gets sidearms or everybody gets swords. Like, and plus the line's young, so I'm still building up accessory count and I'm still building up the tooling library. So I think it's possible in the future. But to Emily's point and my feelings point, I'm the feelings one.
Yeah.
No, and both Rob and Eric, we missed your ice creams.
Oh, ice cream. So mine's going to be, if Lenny, if you think you feel old, my favorite ice cream is rum raisin.
Rum raisin.
Ooh, all right.
Geriatric going on over here. That's awesome.
I have, what you can't see right off screen is I have a jar of candy that has all fused into one giant piece of candy that's just like inedible. It's sitting just off screen.
All right, and Rob, what was yours?
My favorite is cookies and cream, but it's got to be made with real Oreos.
Ooh, very good. Yep.
You, my friend, have good taste. You have good taste. It's a staple. Cookies and cream is a staple.
Oh, yeah.
And then afterwards, we will have a tangential conversation about the glory that is Lolly and Pops, the candy store. But I'll save that for once we're done and everybody's asked their questions.
All right, Fran, you're back up.
So my favorite ice cream is Ben & Jerry's New York Super Chunk.
Ooh, what is in a New York Super Chunk?
It's got white chocolate. It's got dark chocolate chunks. It's got peanuts, and it's like a dark chocolate ice cream.
Delicious.
It's power. Yeah. It's power ice cream.
Like chocolate explosion.
I'm sorry, Dustin, did you just claim that your favorite ice cream is daiquiri ice?
Possibly. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's super good.
Is it?
I think so.
Does it?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's unique, so I wanted to share it. I think it's good.
I feel like I haven't had that in a really long time.
I've never had daiquiri.
And so what I wonder now, I hated it as a kid, but what I'm wondering is if it tastes like a margarita. And now if I am a lady of refined taste, if I would actually enjoy it now instead of being like, why doesn't this taste like vanilla ice cream?
It's a little sour. It's a little sour, but
okay,
I also
all
like
right.
French.
You know what, Dustin? I will give this a shot for you. Okay.
Right.
I'm
Fran,
so sorry.
Please let Fran
thank
answer
you,
this
Fran.
question.
Yeah.
So the HasLab Piss Tank Cobra Commander, is that going to have a vac metal face? And is like, what's the situation with vac metal throughout the line? Because everybody wants a Destro like that.
You could not do Destro's head as it currently is. We'd have to remake it because in PVC would chip. All the vac metallization would come off of it. It is very much a possibility on Cobra Commander. I just am studying it right now to see what we can do. It is in my plan. However, I'm not confirming that right now. I would very much like it to do that because it's Cobra Commander and you need to see your face in the evilness of Cobra Commander's mask.
Yeah, that's a great touch. I would really love to see.
It would be so dope, especially because the 6 inches is much larger. The 3 3/4 is cool, but it's so small. It's a little peanut. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right. We got to get a deck there like that. I mean, it's just it's the iconic version of the character too. You always back metal.
Yeah, I think it's, again, it's like materials and the next opportunity, and if we can afford it, and like it's just like it's all that stuff.
Grenadier Destro, maybe, you know.
Who knows?
Many options.
There are many options. It's just the back metaling has to be done to non-PVC parts, and all of our heads are PVC currently because of the details. Our Cobra Commander's head is a dome. So, you know, we just got to study it. And again, I can't confirm it in here because it's so early in production. So
thanks.
I have the same wants as you guys.
This segment is brought to you by our friends at Chubsy Wubsy Toys. A traditional mom and pop toy store in Little Falls, New Jersey, Chubsy Wubsy Toys brings you the best new toys from the brands you love without the hassle of pounding the pavement searching for them at larger retail stores. Visit them in person at 106 Main Street in Little Falls, New Jersey, or online at chubsywubsy.com. That's CHUBZYWUBZZY.com. And tell them Adventures in Collecting sent you.
All right, Chris, full force.
Thanks for shouting. Full force. Thank you
Chris,
for that.
what's your favorite ice cream?
That's amazing. My favorite ice cream is, I kind of go back and forth between fish food. Have you ever had fish food before? PH?
Respect. Yep.
I love that. Oh, it's so good. But then also, I know it's already been mentioned, but mint choc. I'm such a fan of mint choc chip.
I would not have expected mint chocolate chip to be the runaway like ice cream flavor of the summer, according to the group.
When I was a kid, my dad told me it came from the moon, so I loved it.
That's fabulous.
It's from the moon.
He was lying. He was lying to you, buddy.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah. Sorry. Ask your question.
I don't have any questions anyway. No. Okay. So Serpentor, what an amazing reveal that was. Incredible figure looking at the chariot as well. Fantastic. Just beautiful work on that all round.
Thank you.
My question is kind of a design standpoint here, Lenny. You've gone with two cowls or two cowl options. The kind of class, or I wouldn't say, well, I don't really know what it is, but effectively you've gone the vintage version where it kind of plugs in the back, and this kind of new kind of style, which I'm guessing was that from like a let's update it and make it kind of classified style to give people options of display?
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. We were designing it. In the original design, I did the classified cowl first, and because I wanted to make it look like a real cobra head. I think the one thing that used to irk me about I loved reptiles as a kid and dinosaurs and stuff. So when I had my Serpentor, I was like, that's not a real cobra head. Now that I had the opportunity to make him, I was like, we're making this thing look real. So in the original design, I had connected it to the back of his body and stuff like that. And when we got the first round of sculpts in, I was like, we need to do the old school one too, because we need to have that option here. I feel like we may upset some people again, because this is where we're going to be able to get Serpentor in all of his glory. So we added it at sculpture phase. It wasn't in, I'm lying. No, I am lying. It was in my sculpt input. It's just in the middle of doing the sculpt input, it dawned on me, and I was like,
right,
I probably should put the classic cowl in there also, because it hinders articulation. It's kind of got like I don't know if I could say it, but the Batman cowl thing where he moves, but he looks badass because it's all encompassing. But
the classified-ish one, the one that's like an actual snake head, it links to the back as well as clicking on the top of the head.
Can I show how it connects, guys? I have one here. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Everyone's nodding their heads
sorry.
like,
yeah, I say it's okay.
Everyone's nodding their heads like they have the proof.
So that you're not seeing this one doesn't have his head on top, which is the funniest thing in the world.
It's RoboCop.
Blockhead. So actually, maybe I'll take off his cape just to show you guys how the cape comes off. This is an earlier sample. It's why the cape is black. When we do early samples, it's not in the final production colors for fabrics.
Just rip it, mate. Just rip it off.
So you'll see that it's keyed.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So what happens with the cowl is that it stops him from moving side to side, which is also when we review sculpt inputs and all that, we kind of go over like my brain mush of what I put on paper to be like, what's going to work, what's not going to work, what's going to go in what mold, whatever. And we're like, we need to give them the old school cowl for multiple reasons. And it'll have better articulation on it. But if you want that ceremonial, straight up just snake head, that's what the classified one is for.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. James.
First off, the ice cream question for me would be peanut butter cup.
Ooh.
Probably Cedar Crest or Tillamook.
Tillamook is always the correct decision on ice cream.
Quite creamy.
Are you a West Coaster?
No, I live in Illinois.
You can get Tillamook ice cream in Illinois now?
We do, yes.
Well, so for those of you who don't know, Tillamook ice cream comes from the Tillamook Creamery, which is in Tillamook, Oregon, which is approximately 40 minutes south of where I spent my COVID lockdown year in Cannon Beach, Oregon.
Is this one massive reveal of Ice Cream Soldier, by the way? Is this what we're getting? Are we getting classified ice cream
You're
soldier?
never
really
getting Ice
funny.
Cream Soldier. You are never getting him.
No, Rick, don't say that. I love Ice Cream Soldier.
I'm telling you, we're starting a rumor. We're starting a rumor today.
I love it. So, James, important question on the peanut butter. Do you like it with actual chunks of peanuts in it, or do you want it to be a smooth peanut butter experience?
The smooth peanut butter experience, but with a ribbony type of effect.
Ooh, okay. That's very nice. All right.
Smooth Peanut Butter Experience was one of your early bands, wasn't it, James?
It was indeed. I can't say the other names on here because it would take the conversation in a very, very
Lenny and I
wrong
spend
direction,
a lot of
but
time
is
saying,
incredible.
when we say something really stupid, we go, that would be a really good band name.
yeah, the 90s were a very strange time, and I legitimately was in one band with a questionable name.
It's going to be
probably
really
wouldn't fly.
important that you let us know what that name is offline, because otherwise
Maybe at another time.
Perfect. I love it. All right. We'll owe you a drink, and then we get to know that. No, we'll owe you some Tillamook, and then we'll
Yes.
we'll get your band name. I'm so sorry. Please continue with your question.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the off the wall fun one here that might not have a real answer, but we're seeing on both the kid toy side of the business and on the collector side a huge uptick in interest for seasonal toys, and we're seeing some of it out of Hasbro with the Halloween and Christmas Star Wars. So is G.I. Joe at all on the table to get seasonal themed offerings in the years ahead?
Can I just say that I love those seasonal themed offerings? I think that they are just stupid cute. So from a personal desire standpoint, nothing's off the table for G.I. Joe. And I would really like to do a line of, I don't know, G.I. Joes in Halloween costumes or G.I. Joes in like stupid, ugly holiday sweaters. I got a couple years
holiday
ago.
sweater is very funny.
I still get, sorry, did I get too excited?
What?
What did you think?
I said Duke in a holiday sweater would be hysterical.
Oh, that would be great.
Looking all severe and like in his cute sweater, with a bear on it or something.
I think Destro's sweater, it needs to be Profit Director Destro, and it needs to be a picture of him on his sweater with his pile of, like the border, like the borders on holiday sweaters.
Money.
Flaming money. So I think that all of that is fabulous. I don't think that anything is necessarily off the table. I think that those items are absolutely hilarious. But if you happen to miss the holiday, you kind of have to wait for the next one to come around. So it requires a little bit of timing finesse on our part. But again, as the line expands, I don't think anything's off limits.
Alrighty.
Sorry, Lenny. Sounds like we're making sweater figures.
No. I'm joking.
I'm also imagining like an oversized cardigan situation for some reason with like a menorah on the back of it. That's what it needs to be.
That's kind of
so
awesome. I could see Scarlett in one of those corded sweaters, the really thick ones with the it's like oversized. It would actually be a cool sculpt. Anyway, sorry.
That would be great. And then maybe we do like a little light up menorah on the back of it. I'd be here for it. Or a bad dreidel joke. Ooh, bad dreidel jokes.
All right, Daniel, you're up.
All right. My friend and former Hasbro employee, Josh Izzo, wants me to ask you, What is the long-term plan for O-ring figure releases? Are they only on Hasbro Pulse? 2-packs? What's the deal?
Great news, or great question. So we can't comment on upcoming figures, and unfortunately, we can't mention anything about O-ring figures right now. But come back to us in a couple months, and we'll see if we have any more news on that.
And say hi to Josh from me. He and I worked on some concepts when I first started working at Hasbro. So
okay.
And then we need your ice cream flavor and your dog's name.
My dog is Roxy.
Hi, Roxy.
And ice cream flavor, during COVID, I discovered an ice cream flavor. I think it's from Dryers, called Cookie Cobblestone.
Oh man!
It has like cookies and cream and like chocolate chip and just all sorts of stuff in it, and it doesn't last long in my home.
Oh my! Well, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, it's real nice.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chris from CBR.
All right. So the Venn diagram of CBR readers and wrestling fans is actually a circle. So I'm obligated to ask you about Sergeant Slaughter, a figure that we have not stopped talking about since it was announced. I'm just curious. You were talking about it has a lot of accessories with it, a lot of hands. There's some really cool stuff like the mini Slaughter and stuff like that. I was just wondering if we could just get some insight into how it came about coming up with those accessories and designing it. Maybe if there was anything you didn't include that was on the table that you really regret missing out on.
So I was reading the side comments because I saw Pizza Rat. I really.
So one of the things that I can say that was not included, as long as Lenny doesn't kill me, is that Sarge himself has asked that if we ever do another iteration of his figure, to include a saluting hand, because he has had people actually come up to him at conventions and say, what your figure really needs is a saluting hand, because they're using some of the other hands and it doesn't quite work as well. Mm-hmm. So that's at least on Sarge's wish list for future accessories.
Yep. And the reason why is because we can only do a certain amount of them from a tool standpoint. I actually was going to throw more in there, but then my engineer at the time was like, no. So I had to make some hard decisions. Oh, there is a rat there. Hi, little rat. Hi.
Honey, that's the Pizza Rat from my pin.
I was like, what are you guys talking about? Rats?
Is that what I remember? Am I close?
Oh, you're muted, bud. I think the accessory that I wanted to put in there that I had in concept board phase was an itty ditty bag. I wanted to give him a duffel bag, and then he was going to put you in an itty ditty bag. Like, what does he say in the cartoon? Something like that. That's what I wanted, but then the bag was
an itty bitty ditty bag.
There it is.
Because also he's got it over his shoulder and stuff, and he's looking awesome when he shows up, and he yells at everybody. Looking awesome, but I couldn't do it. That's it.
Perfect.
All right, Jeremy.
So as far as deluxe releases of figures go, is that something that's gonna Dr. Mindbender and then Zartan and the line kicking off with Snake Eyes? Are those gonna stick more to being Pulse exclusives and something that we're not gonna see in stores, like the versions that come with more and more character specific accessories? Is that going to stick exclusively, or is that going to go maybe onto a store shelf at some point?
So the super high end items that we're doing for convention exclusives that have the really special packaging, those will stay convention exclusives. And I believe for the time being, now that we have Hasbro Pulse, the instruction is that those will basically be sold through Hasbro Pulse as convention exclusives. That being said, we are looking into figuring out how we can get kind of more of those, like the Snake Eyes and Timbers and Crocmaster and Fionas and kind of the Sergeant Slaughters of the world onto actual brick and mortar shelves, and seeing what kind of expansions we'll be able to do. I think that now it's been a pretty tight line. And so I think now we have a little bit of room, now that we know that our consumers are perhaps less super price sensitive than we may have thought that they would be, if the offering justifies the value. that I think that there's a little bit more room that we can start playing with that and expanding the line. So keep an eye out for that in the future.
Cool. Brett.
So with the success of the Sergeant Slaughter, have you been thinking about some of the other characters that kind of fell into that space of the outside, maybe real life people being brought in? Hint, hint, Fridge Perry. And a couple others like that.
About it.
What's that?
We muse about it because it's fun to think about, like people as GI Joes. I mean, it's probably what they did back in the day when Sarge came into the fold. But we definitely like not joke, but half serious about it a lot, because there's a lot of like really cool people and celebrities I know. Of me being a kid, I think of action heroes. Like, that'd be an awesome GI Joe. He is a GI Joe. Yeah, but you didn't finish your question. I'm sorry. I jumped on that. I apologize.
No, I mean, that's really the question of like, have you, and there was other characters that came out, there was other figures released, Fridge Perry probably being the big one. Have you gone back and kind of like thought through, hey, Sergeant Slaughter's gone that big. What would it take maybe to get some of these other ones back?
Yeah, I think, we talk about it a lot. We talk about, getting ones back into the line that were there, and then talking about getting new people into the line that could enhance it. I don't know how much more we can get into on that.
I feel like that's kind of all that we can say at this point, but that we're, as Lenny was saying, we're musing, we're trying to start having some conversations and seeing who else may want to come play with us on the GI Joe line.
All right. Scott.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, Scott, important to start off with, was I close to your rat's name?
Here's the thing, that's Abby is the pizza rat, but this is actually Huey.
Huey.
Yeah.
Huey's news.
Yeah, this is one of the new rats. He's my current office rat today.
I love it. Huey, I'm so sorry that I thought that you were Abby. My apologies. Does Huey also like pizza?
He's colored just like Abby. So, unless you really know, it's to anyone else, it's the same rat.
Thank you for your forgiveness today.
Yeah. He takes no offense to it whatsoever. So something I wanted to bring up as we got out there with Mindbender. And obviously, Mindbender was an incredible success as an event exclusive. The QR codes and then your online distribution, I thought worked really well. And everyone I know basically got a Mindbender, and that wasn't the case with Zartan. And we have on record that 3 times the amount of Zartans we got produced as Mindbender, and Mindbender still sold out with, demand on top of that. You said that is there going to be a second run of Mindbender, or is that version of Mindbender done?
So we are seeing if there is any potential to maybe do another run of Mindbender. We are making no promises at this point. We know that this is super successful. On our figures that are that successful, that we hear that there's that much demand for, we usually try to see if there's any possibility of doing another run on figures. What I can tell you is that for the last year, there has been basically a moratorium on doing reruns. Moratorium, is that the right word?
Moratorium.
Anyway, somebody will tell me if it's not. But basically, we have been doing no reruns on any GI Joe figures because our supply chain issues have been so bad that we want to make sure that we're getting the new figures out before we give you more of the old figures. And so that's one of the ways that we have been trying to kind of speed up our production capacity to the best of our ability. So I make no promises, but we are looking to see if it's a possibility. And then we cannot comment on if there will be any future versions of Mindbender or Serpentor released.
Okay, so is that can you give me a solid maybe?
Maybe. Solid maybe.
Solid maybe. I can deal with that.
Okay, perfect.
What is our production numbers comparatively to Zartan to Serpentor? We know Mindbender is a factor of 3.
currently, same number of Mindbender and Serpentors have been produced.
Ooh, that means he's going to be much more harder to get, because as amazing of a figure Mindbender is, everybody wants a Serpentor with Air Chariot.
And I think that the thought process behind, so we wanted to do the same amount with the kind of assumption on our part that if you wanted one, you'd want the other so that you have the match set. So that was the thinking behind doing the same number of both of them so that, everybody could get a match set if they want it. The Serpentor has such a higher price point than Mindbender does.
Yeah.
Just because
not going to matter.
Because of the Air Chariot. So if Serpentor is the runaway success that we think he's going to be, maybe a solid schmaybe on that for seeing if maybe we can produce some additional quantities. But it's very nice to feel like people want our figures. It's a nice compliment.
Yeah, I definitely think, double Mindbender production for Serpentor would have been more in line with the demand of that iconic of a figure, much less we're getting an Air Chariot with him. So
the Air Chariot's amazing too.
I have 4 Air Chariots next to me, actually, because I was trying to get the gold right.
Oh, you don't have to flex, man. We understand you got the good stuff.
I'm not flexing. That thing was that gold right was brutal.
The gold is beautiful now.
Now, size comparison. I know some of us did see it at Comic-Con, but comparatively from that to the Ram cycle, what's more plastic?
The Air Chariot's more plastic. Lenny, I may have some too if you want me to go grab them.
Me get it with the 50 cal on.
Okay, well, that is.
Well, you put it next to my head for context.
Yeah, but not everybody knows how big your head is.
Oh, that's true. I have a huge head.
Can you put both of them kind of like this up to the camera, like next
I got
to?
it. Oh, you know what? We need a figure.
Put a figure next to them. There you go.
1 second. Hold on. Kickstand down. You hear that?
Please make sure it's a figure that we have released.
I know. It's exactly what I'm doing. Oh. All right, buddy.
Leave Ice Cream Soldier to the side, Lenny.
Yeah.
Don't put that
Now,
on.
for now, we want to see Ice Cream Soldier later.
That may not be the best example.
No, I think that's good.
That's fantastic. I mean, this is probably online already now that we've seen it.
I hear all of the camera snaps.
And then let me go like this too.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah,
You switch your camera back a tiny bit.
Let me go like
There you go.
So
that's really fantastic to have what was the original sculpt, but then the Cobra is so much more modern.
Yeah,
It
that
really
was the idea.
blends it in,
Well, hey guys, I'm gonna jump in here. We only have 5 minutes left. I want to make sure people get another
Go,
question.
Dustin, go.
No problem.
Jaren, take it away.
Okay, so really quickly, I know you'd mentioned all the different pieces and accessories and really building the mold count up and things like that. Is there any plan to release accessory packs at a later date, similar to how we had in the O-ring run and other runs?
So it's definitely something that we are intrigued by. We know the success that it was for the O-ring figures back in the day, and we always love having additional accessories. So really it kind of comes down to feasibility and where we think it'll land and what we think we can make happen. So it's definitely something that we're looking into for the future.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then Rob.
Hi. I was wondering, are there any considerations on characters that are maybe outside that traditional classic Real American Hero era? We got Kamakura coming from Amazon, but could we be, we open to like characters like even that were toys original, like Bomb Strike or Blackout or things like that?
Oh, Rob, we're open to everyone.
Yeah, 100%. Like we always say it's the new line. line, but it's kind of true where you got to get to the staples. I want to. I even want to get some new characters in too. I think the line could use it in a lot of ways. So accent pieces and stuff like that. So absolutely. It's just a matter, again, it's time.
Yep.
Cool. We have 3 minutes left. Eric, do you have another question from your fans? Since you're next.
Eric, before you, oh no, sorry. We'll let you go ahead and then we'll close out.
Okay. Yeah, one more question. So at Bring Toys to Work asks, with so many characters to choose from, and you guys implementing kind of a fan vote element with the Hiss Tank with Ron Rudet's figure, are there any plans to implement, fan votes in the future to maybe say, like, here are 5, characters we're thinking of, you guys vote on the one that gets produced next?
Sure. I think that those are really fun when they're done. The hard part about those is that our development cycle is so long that from like the time that you vote until the time you get the figure ends up being a really long time, which from a PR perspective is not super great because people are like, we voted for it. We want it in our hands right now. So I think that part of that is development challenge, but I certainly wouldn't rule that out. I know that other brands have been able to do that as well. And so I do think that the Hiss Tank kind of opens up an opportunity for us with that. And then we have gotten some questions about when that fan vote is going to happen for the Hiss Tank. And so it is going to happen after the backing period has closed because we want to make sure that everybody who backs the Hiss Tank is able to vote.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the waiting thing, I think if there's anything that we've all learned as collectors over the past couple of years is like, to quote Tom Petty, the waiting is the hardest part. But I think we're all getting used to a longer lead time on things these days. So, if that's, I think if given the opportunity, like, hey, you may have to wait, a year plus for this, but like, doing something like a fan vote, might be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And, we really appreciate everybody's continued patience. And, the 6-month drought of G.I. Joe should finally be over. I know Crockmaster and Fiona's are sitting on shelf right now. I've gotten a lot of really excited notes from people who are like, oh my God, I just stumbled onto this in Walmart. What a day. So hopefully that will be a little bit more of our future as well, which is great. And so we just wanted to say thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. And to cap things off, we wanted to do another 2 of our character name leaks from our 2023 line. I'm so sorry that people aren't excited about this. So first up is going to be Range Vipers.
Wow.
Which
that's awesome.
I have been waiting to do.
Wow.
And Lenny's design for them is, without a trace of irony, I will say, hella dope.
And Big Ben.
And what?
Yeah,
and Big Ben. Big Ben. That's for you, Chris.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I can't even write it now. I'm so excited.
All right. So Range Vipers and Big Ben are both coming to the line in 2023.
So hang on, you did Tiger Force Outback and Big Ben. Man, this is great. You're just literally making figures.
This is because you let me win in the arcade the other day.
Oh, guys, that's amazing.
Just to clarify, this plan was in place before we ran into Chris and went to the arcade. Just in case anybody is, There is
Thank you, guys. That's awesome.
There's a very adorable video of Chris and Lenny and Corey, our sculptor, and BMAC from the Transformers team on a life-size Hungry Hippo machine where you actually have to sit on the hippos and do this to get them to eat.
I won.
He won. He smoked them. It was embarrassing for everybody else involved.
I was meatheading that thing too, though. I was like, I'm going to do this drop, and then I didn't get shit.
We'll have to get that video. I think Emily has it.
Oh yeah, we'll put it at the end of this video at the end.
Gorgeous. So,
thank you guys for everything. This has been brilliant, and thanks to everyone as well. It's great to see you all again, guys.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, dear listener, for hanging out with us today. Subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen, and then tell your friends to do it. Thanks also to Joe Azari, the golden voice behind our intro. Our music is Game Boy Horror by the Zombie Dandies. Find more about them both in our show notes.
Follow us on social media at AIC_podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Stop by and say hi, show us your toy hauls, and share your toy stories. Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode.
Don't try this at home. Void where prohibited and some assembly required. Each sold separately, not a flying toy. Consult a physician if your toy run exceeds more than 4 hours.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.